Hey, Mr. Crew, huge welcome to the Think Different podcast. We're beyond excited to have you to share your insights and your experiences with our community. Your unique voice and perspective are going to bring so much value to our conversation. Welcome again. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell me, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to have you on the platform. And we're going to get right into the questions because I'm curious to hear your perspective on these. How do you think social media amplify marginalized voices?
All right. I will use a recent pop cultural experience. Let's look at this Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Right.
Beef, whatever it is. I'm an avid hip hop fan, avid music fan. I'm an artist myself, fan of both of these guys. However, I realized that in the past, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, you know, these guys have been going back and forth, especially last week, Tuesday, until the weekend, basically. That's when the real battle started between them, back and forth songs. What I noticed from my subjective perspective, because music is subjective,
Right, yeah.
both of these guys actually had good music. Both of them had good lyrics, both of them had good bars, both of them had criticisms and allegations against the other person where it couldn't be proven. It was just good chance. However, for some reason, the internet overwhelmingly said that Kendrick beat Drake by a mile. I have an issue with that because I do believe Kendrick won. However, I don't believe he won by a mile.
Right.
And this is where I went to the different social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I haven't been on Twitter in a while. And I noticed that when each artist dropped a song, before maybe even 5, 10 minutes passed, you can tell the fan base was on their side before they even listened to it.
That's good
And this
influence.
is where, yes, and this is where social media, I believe, now has an effect on what I call group thinking, where no one basically has an opinion without the influence of the opinion of others on social media.
Right.
I have no stats to prove this right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember a time without social media. I was born in the 90s, the early 90s. So I remember a time when the internet wasn't as prevalent. I remember a time when blogs were the thing. I remember a time when High Five and MySpace and AOL and MSN Messenger were the social media platforms of choice.
True.
I remember when Facebook was not the version that it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Twitter, now X, is not the version that it is right now. I remember even when YouTube was not the version that it is right now. And all I can say is, based on all of those different experiences from the 90s coming up to 2024, I do believe that social media platforms have been aligned with different agendas. You have certain platforms where the head of the platform or the consensus of the platform is aligned to either the far right or the far left. Whatever the you have social media platforms that align themselves with specific agendas. For example, Twitter is supposed to be the place where you are free to say anything. YouTube and Facebook aren't the place for that, right?
Yeah.
However, I remember a time when YouTube and Facebook allowed every and anything to be posted.
Right. Yeah.
So now that when this the head of the table picked a side. He then used his tool, whether it is the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, the Snapchat. He uses his tool, he or her uses their tool to actually allow their agenda that they're aligned to be spread amongst the masses that are part of their platform. So I do believe that the social media does affect group thinking, and that in itself affects how people behave.
True, that's true. That's a very good point there. But I've been scrolling online and I've seen activists, do their thing. And yes, they're out there protesting, but they're more on the social media platform pushing and getting engaging. So do you believe that, them doing their thing on the social media platform actually, reflects on any sort of change? Do you think that it drive anything in the real world?
Well, what I can say is that I believe social media in the social media used for, what do I say? Social media that is used for what's the word I'm looking for? Activism, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't like the word activism, but let's say social media that is used for activism.
right.
Cool? When you use it for activism, you always have to remember activism in itself is an agenda based concept.
Yeah, true.
Every agenda is biased towards whatever the agenda is aiming for. With that being said, social media and its correlation to activism is the same thing as saying social media and its correlation on behavior. I do believe social media affects behavior. So with that concept, I must also yield to the fact that social media does affect activism. Because activism is a behavior.
Right.
Activism is action. Activism is not just words. Activism is demonstrations, it's placards,
Right.
it's lobbying for different memorandums to be passed. Not memorandums, different policies to be passed. That is what activism is about. At the root of activism, true activism as it, the root of it is action.
Right.
And I do believe that social media does affect activism. However, I believe it is not necessarily good and it's not necessarily bad. For example, I'll call one, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement. It's widely renowned Black Lives Matter movement wasn't even really formed by Black people.
Which I found that very strange.
A lot of us found it strange. I found it strange. I won't act as if I knew. I found it very
really
strange when I realized that a lot of these funds were used to actually help to finance the starters of this foundation. So while Black Lives Matter as a hashtag, Black Lives Matter as a movement, Black Lives Matter as a concept, I do believe it. I do not believe in Black Lives Matter, the organization.
Right.
And that is when we now go. That's when we now go into the different concepts. Once you have organizations being a part of quote unquote activism, I have a hard time but completely buying into it. Because an organization is for the organization. The organization is not for the betterment of whatever they claim to be.
Right.
Because you will never have an organization that sacrifices themselves for their cause. Nope. But they will definitely sacrifice their cause for themselves.
Definitely.
And that's where we have to look into the Black Lives Matter movement. That's when we have to look into the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, the JLP Party in Jamaica, the PNP Party in Jamaica. Because really and truly, you have persons on both sides who do not fully agree with their side. But because of the concept of picking the lesser evil.
That's true. I don't think a lot of persons point out that particular statement that you made, that they're on a side, but they're not completely off that side. But you're just picking The lesser
You
evil.
just pick a side because you don't like the other side more.
Right.
Or it could just be a case where you want your side to be bigger.
True.
And that's what I thought happened with the whole Kendrick and Drake the Muffler. And that's why I even started it with that example. So it came back full circle. You had persons on Drake's side, regardless of whatever Kendrick would have dropped. You have persons on Kendrick's side, regardless of what Drake would have dropped. So I think we should actually look at the persons who are free thinkers. As much as I do not like how that term has been politicized,
Right.
the free thinker is the neutral person. The neutral person is the person who asks questions. The neutral person is the person who says, I don't know. The neutral person is the person who says, I want to know.
Right.
The neutral person is the person who says, they go to different sources. They go to opposing sides. They ask questions. They learn. They switch sides depending on their situation. I really respect
fair.
the person.
That's a fair. That's a critical thinking, and I think that's fair.
But even term critical thinking, it's just like free thinker to me. It has been
Yes, I
heavily
would agree.
politicized.
Yes, definitely, I would agree. But yeah, you mentioned about behavior, and it's so funny because asking you the next question is going to wrap around how people behave, which how do you believe like social media builds empathy and understanding?
Empathy and understanding.
Yes.
Hmm. Maybe I always tell people, I think, I think I heard this quote from 60 Cent, and I could really relate to it. I think I have, personally, less empathy than the average human being. Me personally, this is me sharing something about myself. The reason being, my understanding of empathy is that you're not necessarily worried about what happened to the person, but you're more worried about how the person feels about what happened to them.
Right.
So you empathize with feelings, you sympathize with situations.
True.
So I sympathize with you that you don't have a car and your car break down in the road, but I empathize with the feeling you have of your car being broken down in the road.
Mm-hmm.
I sympathize with you that your boyfriend broke up with you or your spouse broke up with you. I empathize with the feeling of the breakup. How does the breakup make you feel? I don't have that strength to a high level. So I don't necessarily know how social media affects empathy on a personal level, but I believe I see how social media affects empathy on a group level.
Okay.
All you have to do is show a video, put a certain type of music behind that video, and you can get people to feel sorry for any situation.
True. I've seen it, so definitely I can agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I've
true.
seen where the more internet savvy you are, the more knowledgeable you are about social media and its marketing ploys, I think these things have less impact on you. So once again, we're going back to the terms free thinker, critical thinker, those terms. So I do not believe social media necessarily affects. Okay, let me put it this way: social media does affect the empathy you have, but it only affects it to the person who is not knowledgeable of how the internet actually markets things to us.
Good point of explanation right there. Because persons might say, what is he saying? Social media does affect the person. But I like the fact that you put that definition to what you just said.
But at the end of the day, there's someone in the world that empathizes with every situation, or there's someone in the world to empathize with any situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone who's empathizing with a dog being hit by a car. There's someone who's empathizing with trees being cut down. There's someone who's empathizing with chickens being killed and eaten. There's someone empathizing with people who are divorced. There's someone who's empathizing with people who are married.
True.
So therefore, you will always have someone who has empathy for any situation, because empathy is just feelings, and feelings are infinite. And you will, just like how you have someone who can complain about any situation, you have people who can empathize about any situation. There's a famous meme that goes around social media where they say, here's a blank paper, or here's a blank picture. And this picture is going to prove that you can let anyone argue about anything. And when you put a blank paper up there, people are like, why are you calling it blank? It's a white paper. Why are you saying it's white? Are you racist? So it's just to show that naturally we have fight in us.
True.
We just have a fight in us that racism is something that it can't be said. Because we are the ones who look for differences.
True. Perspective, mindset.
Exactly. If all of us were the same skin tone, the same hair length, the same height, the same gender, but different eye colors, that is where the prejudice would start, from the eye colors.
True.
You're like, oh, blue-eyed, marry the blue-eyed people. Oh, I don't like the green-eyed people. Oh, I don't like the red-eyed people. So all these things are just emotions.
Right.
And the most mature persons, I believe, I'm not there as yet, but the most mature persons are the ones who can control their emotions and the ones who can view things from different perspectives.
But you said you said you're not the one yet. So what is actually stopping you from being the one?
I'm petty. I'm being honest. As much as I know I sound very articulate, I know I sound very mature, I'm petty. I am. I have to admit. And the good thing about my pettiness is that I know when I'm.
Okay.
So it's not like I am very self-aware.
Right.
I speak with a lot of people. I know a lot of people. I'm also a teacher. I speak with young people every day. So every year, I speak to a new generation of young people. And with the work that I do as my 9 to 5, I speak with older people. Right. So I'm almost like the middle child. I have direct interaction with the young people. I have direct interaction with the older people. So I can hear different perspectives. I can hear different generations. Right. I can hear how they view things. I can hear how they look at things differently. I can hear how they criticize each other. And because of that, I think I am very neutral. And because I'm neutral, I can't pick a side. So I can't be on the side of being, oh, I am completely mature and I am this, I am that. Or I am completely immature, I am this, I am that. I'm just living my life.
Right. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad it touched on that.
But that's a very introspective question. I like that question, by the way. I like it.
Yes. Thank you. I think it is. It inspires a lot of thoughts or perspective towards it and not just one flat response. But how do you think influencers shape public opinions?
Once more, it all depends on what. Because we have already agreed, basically, that social media does affect behavior.
Right.
So imagine social media as the army. Who do you think the soldiers are? The influencers.
Right.
They are the ones who do the footwork for social media, whatever you call that entity that is known as social media, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Twitters, the X's, I should say, the Snapchats, all those things, the WhatsApp, the Telegrams, all those things. Those are the entities that is known as social media.
Right.
The soldiers are the influencers and the users. Because every social media has two set of persons. You have the content creators and you have the content consumers.
Mm-hmm.
I am 90% a content consumer. I am 10% a content creator.
Right.
Because I do create music. I do make posts on Facebook. I do all these things. However, as a soldier of the social media army, of course they affect people. They have to, because if social media itself affects people, the soldiers are the ones who ensure that that effect is taking place.
That's true. That's true.
Listen, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of 50 Cent. To me, 50 Cent can do no wrong. I am biased. Like.
And 50 Cent is petty also.
Oh my goodness. I think this is.
I like his humor
I think
with
he's
it.
my idol.
I love him humor with it, trust me.
Listen, I think 50 Cent is a perfect example of what I'm going to say.
Unshakable.
If we look at Rick Ross, I despised Rick Ross. Not because of his music. I despise Rick Ross because he and 50 Cent were in an issue. When I opened my critical thinking, my neutral thinking, my free thinking, and I started to actually listen to Rick Ross's music and not be a hater, I realized, that man can really rap. This man make good music. And I listen to Rick Ross to this day, even though Rick Ross and 50 still not agree.
Oh.
So at the end of the day, I allowed the social media soldier, which was 50 Cent, to affect my feelings for somebody else who I don't even know.
Right.
And if I didn't get myself out of that thought process and be a sheep forever, I would still not listen to Rick Ross, just out of spite. And that's why I'm not the CNN guy, the Fox guy. Right. I just listen to the news. I listen both. I listen to both perspectives. I can hear the bias in both perspectives. I can hear the pros and cons in both perspectives. So yes, social media influencers, and sometimes I have to listen to them. Because a lot of these guys are sponsored by the same people who are pushing the agenda for.
That is so true. So true.
So I don't believe any of the characters.
No.
I would rather not curse. Oh, I'm sorry. I would rather none of these persons say anything because I don't believe them. To me, they're make-believe. They're fairy tale creatures. I don't believe any of them. That's the level where I am at right now. If they say ABC, I don't believe it's ABC. I believe it's XYZ. I have a friend who I go to the gym with. Right. She's a female. Nice young lady. Go to the gym, do her thing. I'm a gym geek as well. Right. And when people come to us and tell us that, oh, you shouldn't be doing this for your chest. You should be doing this instead. I'm going to look on this man. And the man just flatter than a sheet of paper. And my chest buff out like a mountainside. I'm like, bro, I don't want to hear this from you. And that's why enough people don't remember, sometimes it's not the message as much as the messenger, We want to see the results. Exactly. Results. And that's why in certain contexts, the messenger is more important than the message. Mm-hmm. Yep. In some contexts, the message is more important than the messenger. Right. So when someone comes to me and say, hey, you know what? You should do cardio. That's a good message. But when you look upon me as a big old fat man or woman and say, hey, you should do more cardio, I'm gonna be like, bro, leave me alone and go eat some chips.
I think those persons definitely live in their minds, and they look at themselves like, or everything else around them like fantasy.
But here's the thing, life isn't black and white. Because
Right.
keep in mind, the MVP track club, their coach is a big fat man.
Oh wow.
And keep in mind, this guy trained with Stay Holds,
Oh
Shelly and
yes.
Fraser, and all
Yes,
these
yes.
people.
I remember him now, yes.
Sorry, you saying is an MVP. Shelly is MVP. Safa is MVP. I don't remember how he, to be honest, don't quote me on that, but I know that Yossein's coach, no, sorry, Shelly's coach is a big fat man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is so interesting. I think it's so intriguing.
Well, yeah. So it just really goes to show that it differs. It differs because probably he wasn't like that when he started to train persons, and just over time people kind of get comfortable. You don't do much, you just say, yeah man, just do this, do that. So you already have a layout for them. They know what to expect. I feel like it coming from that place. I don't think they're always like that because people say, yeah, man, see there, there's a situation where somebody fat and mature and somebody forget fit. But yeah, we understand. But try to remember that they probably weren't like that and them just get comfortable because work now kind of become light. You already train a person, you already lay out certain things to them. So it's just for you to just really monitor them. You're not doing much physically for them.
And also, we have to look at the fact that prejudice plays in a part in human nature.
True. That's true.
We're naturally going to be prejudiced against the fat guy who's telling us that we need to work out.
Right.
However,
yeah.
we don't know what this fat guy is. He could be the greatest sports scientist in the world.
True. True.
And he just doesn't choose that for himself. So then, because I know a lot of trainers who they look the best and all they do is steal their clients' money. They tell their clients in some bogus workouts.
Wow.
This and that. And know that their clients will not reach their level. Because they're not telling their clients the steroids that they take.
Wow. That's crazy.
They're not telling their clients the 5 hours of workout that they do for the week.
Wow.
So, life isn't black and white. And I'm trying not to look at it on a one-sided perspective. So,
yeah, like I say, you have to keep your mind open. You can't just think one way.
And that's one of the reasons why I have never really gotten into physical training.
Right.
Because a lot of people always ask me to train them. Mm-hmm. And while I do have the knowledge, I don't have the lifestyle. So I enjoy eating food. I enjoy having a drink. I enjoy living a normal lifestyle. It just so happens that I'm a gym freak. Right. So I kind of balance out my life. So if you want the type of body that I have, with the type of lifestyle that I have, I can show you that. Right. But most persons who go to the gym don't go to the gym for that lifestyle. Yeah. They go to the gym to get their abs, to get their diet right. And most of them don't have the will to actually work out as hard as I do. Right. So I know what I have to do in the gym when I have a messed up week. I know I have to go extra hard. So that's why I don't train people, because I don't feel comfortable going up to someone training and I don't even have a six-pack. Right. But sometimes I believe things like those, though, it's like the person wholly accountable. So once you agree and say, yeah, man, me help you work out, but feel as if they're going like, but I not say like, yeah, we not keep yourself intact because remember say, yeah, train me, and that pose a lot of pressure on you as a person because you just want to relax and do your thing and just a free flow, and them will put extra pressure on you. And personally, I can't respect the person who can't do what they're telling me to do or never did what they're telling me to do. Right. Yeah, it's hard for me to follow instructions from someone like that, to be honest. Yeah, because it can be misleading. I do it sometimes. Yeah, I do it sometimes because the work situation
Right.
forces you to work with, let me say, inexperienced people at times. And
Right.
sometimes you have to work with them. Because sometimes we are the inexperienced persons. So I'm not trying to bash people who don't know everything. But when we encounter someone who is inexperienced and also arrogant and also giving you instructions about things that they're inexperienced about, that's a formula for disaster.
So true. So true. So true.
Mm.
So true. But this was a very good conversation. Do enjoy it. Do enjoy it. Hoping that we can do a part two. And I do appreciate you being on the platform and sharing so many different perspectives and insights.
No problem. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. My time is your time.